And girls, I hope you're having a beautiful day. Today I'm going to read you a special story from a special book. This book is called The Land of Stories, a treasury of classic fairy tales. Now, do you know what a fairy tale is? I've told you before, but it is a story with magical and made up characters. There's a lot of magic and make believe, and it's a fairy tale. It sounds wonderful. So we are going to read a fairy tale today, and it is called The Princess and the Pea, and it's from Hans Christian Andersen. And there's not a lot of pictures in it, so I want you to imagine and create or illustrate your own pictures in your mind. And when we do come to a page with a picture, I will show it to you. And I want you to see if it matches up to what you illustrated in your mind. How fun is that? All right, let's get started. The Princess and the Pea. Once upon a time, there was a handsome prince who was in desperate need to marry a princess. His father, the king, was getting older and wanted his son to have an heir before he died. So the prince traveled all over the world looking for a good bride. There was only one problem. All the princesses in the kingdoms were already married. Dear son, if a princess can't be found, why not settle for a nice duchess or countess? That means not a princess. The queen asked the prince. No, she must be a princess, a real princess. The prince insisted. Father wants to leave a true royal bloodline behind when he dies. It's the only way to make him happy. Eager to please his father, the prince continued his exquisite search. He traveled to kingdoms farther away than any prince of his kingdom had ever traveled before. Unfortunately, he always returned to the castle with no bride. I don't think I'll ever find a real princess to marry, the prince said. Father will die thinking I never got married. Don't worry, my son, the queen said. We will find you a princess. I promise you must be patient. As luck would have it, rumors started circulating through the kingdom that a princess from a faraway land was missing. The queen kept the castle on high alert to look out for such a person, hoping the missing princess would be the king to her husband and son's happiness. As time went on, the old king became very sick. Fearing his father was in his final days of life, the prince lost all hope that he would find a princess to marry in time to show his father. I have no choice but to marry a duchess, the prince told his mother. I'll meet the ladies of the court tomorrow and select a bride. Naturally, the prince was so sad, but the queen wasn't ready to give up. That night, the kingdom experienced the biggest rainstorm it had ever seen. There was a soft knock on the castle door, and a servant answered it. The caller, the person at the door, was a beautiful young lady who was soaked and shivering in the cold from the rain. Please, may I be given shelter for the night? The lady asked. I've been walking for days and have nowhere to hide from this nasty storm. The servant felt sorry for the young woman. Of course, my dear, he said. Please come inside where it's dry. Thank you. I shall never forget how kind you were, the maiden said. The servant took the maiden into the kitchen and sat her by the fire to keep her warm. Where are you from, ma'am? He asked. I wish I knew, she said. I'm afraid I've lost my memory, and I've been traveling from kingdom to kingdom, hoping to find something familiar. But so far I've found nothing. And here is the picture. That is there. There is the young lady that came to the door, and there is the servant. The servant's heart began to flutter. Could this be the young lady, the missing princess? He informed the queen of the visitor at once. Interesting, the queen said. She might be the missing princess, but with no memory, there's no way to be certain. The queen thought for a moment and came up with a plan. I know what to do, she said. We'll offer her a bed for the night with 12 mattresses stacked on top one another and place a little pea under the very last mattress. That's right, boys and girls, a little pea, like a green pea that you eat. If the maiden has trouble sleeping, we'll know she's indeed the missing princess. Only a true princess could feel a small pea under all those mattresses. The servant did just as the queen said. He made a bed with 12 mattresses and offered it to the maiden to sleep. What a strange bed, the maiden said. But I'm so tired, I'll take anything I can get. The servant fetched the maiden a ladder so she can climb to the top of the highest mattress. He blew out the candles in her bedroom and left her alone to sleep. The following morning, word of the queen's plan had spread throughout the whole castle. All the servants, the queen, the prince, waited anxiously outside the girl's door to see how she slept. How do you think she slept, guys? I don't know. But here is a picture of her sleeping on those 12 mattresses with the ladder to climb to the top. The mattresses are the things that we sleep on, where your mommies or daddies or brothers or sisters, or even you, make your bed and put the sheets around, those soft cushion things. That is what she is sleeping on. She's sleeping on 12 of those, and there's a little pea under that first mattress at the bottom. Now, if she's a true princess, she will be uncomfortable because she will not be able to sleep because it'll feel like there's a bunch of bumps under her. So let's see what happens. When the maiden, the young girl, opened the door, she had dark circles under her eyes and couldn't stop yawning. What do you think that meant? That's right, she was tired. How did you sleep, my dear? The queen asked. Not well, I'm afraid, the maiden said. Thank you so much for your kindness, but I tossed and turned all night long. It's a miracle, the prince said. We found the missing princess. The crowd in the hallway burst into cheers and applause, and the girl was confused by the sudden celebration. Excuse me, the young girl asked. What did you say I am? I'm sorry. You didn't have a restful night, my dear, the queen said. We hid a tiny pea under your bed. Only a real princess would have been able to feel it. The maiden was delighted to learn she was a princess, and the discovery allowed her to reconnect with her family in a faraway kingdom. She found out who she really was. The prince and the princess were married and had many children before the king passed away. Both had gotten exactly what they were looking for, and the prince had finally found a wife. The princess had finally found a life, and together they found a happily ever after. The end. So, in fairy tales, a lot of times, actually all the time, there is a happy ending, like a happily ever after ending. Now, we know in real life that could never happen. We would squish that pea under the mattress. Go ahead and try it at home if your mom lets you. And I promise you're going to squish the pea. So, that is the story of the princess and the pea. All right, my lovely princes and princesses, I will see you for the next story. Bye-bye.